New body camera footage has come forward that prosecutors have been trying to suppress from a 2019 arrest of George Floyd, which showed Floyd trying to consume his whole stash of drugs before being taken into custody.
Okay, man. Open your mouth. Spit out what you got. Spit out what you got. I'm gonna tase you. Spit it out. He's eating all
Don't you jerk away from me.
That was one yellow pill. Put your hands behind your back. That was one yellow pill, bro.
Now, why does this matter? Well, I, for a very long time, as someone who's been around drug culture for a good amount of my younger years, and the mountains of evidence presented to us, am under the belief that George Floyd died of a fatal overdose of meth and fentanyl. What leads me to this belief is that in the 2020 body cam footage, we can see a small white bag on George Floyd's tongue, and this fits Floyd's MO, eat the drugs, which we've seen in 2019. The expected bag of fentanyl on Floyd's tongue would also explain why in his toxicology report why he had enough fentanyl in his system to kill a horse. By the way, if you're not familiar with fentanyl, it's fatal at a dose of 400 to 700 micrograms, which, to put into perspective, is a few grains of salt. Not to talk ill of the dead, it's a tragedy when anyone dies, and I know what the world saw was a black man crying out to his mom as he took his last breaths under a white supremacist cop's knee who's in an interracial marriage, but what I saw was a junkie in an excited state of delirium, which makes sense for someone who just downed a whole bag of fentanyl. Also, according to the autopsy, it shows Floyd did not die on the scene of the incident, which ended at 8:27 p.m., but an hour later at the hospital at 9:25 p.m. of a heart attack. It's also important to note that Floyd had two major heart diseases, which a mix of heart disease and the level of fentanyl he had in his system is a death sentence. So to say that Officer Chauvin killed George Floyd is completely false, as he was still alive after the 9-minute encounter, which clearly did not kill Floyd but temporarily knocked him unconscious. So just to recap, in 2019, George Floyd during arrest was caught on body cam trying to swallow drugs before being taken into custody. In 2020, we can see body cam footage of Floyd swallowing a large white bag of possibly fentanyl. George Floyd was not killed but knocked unconscious under Officer Chauvin's knee and died an hour later after the incident, and the toxicology report showed he had enough fentanyl in his system to kill a horse.